You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
This episode of Breaking Down the Ring is brought to you by Chawla Legal Group Estate Planning. Estate planning is for everyone. Whether you're worth $4,000 or $40 million, estate planning can help protect you, your family, and your assets while you're alive and well. Damn. To register for an upcoming workshop today, go to chawlalegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157. Again, that's chawlalegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157.
What the Rock is cooking.
So much wrestling to talk about. Fyter Fest happened with the buy-in. So many good spots in that. Somebody got busted open the hard way. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about that. Raw and Smackdown have brand new creative forces behind them. How did we feel about Raw and Smackdown this week with their fingerprints on it? And do we have a brand new Ring Crew champion? We'll find out this week and more as we
break the ring down.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
The cream rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. You just made the list. This right here is a family.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and professional podcaster Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
My name is Killer Cross.
This is The Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's up, guys? The After Machine, Brian Cage.
This is Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Sadly, you are not listening to The Art of Wrestling, but you made a decent choice because you're listening.
You are now listening to...
When you're listening...
And you're listening to...
You listen to Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring. Break it down.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
You're listening to the most inappropriate pro wrestling show in the motherfucking world. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring. We are your ring crew.
Z.
Ricochet.
Smitty.
And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself, and brand new Ring Crew champion. The midget stripper got a grown-ass man for a friend. Leave me alone. Just because I win again. I'm back. I've got title reigns upon title reigns.
Ratings are about to drop, really.
I would like to point out, I think ratings are the highest when I am champ. As a matter of fact, in the last 11 months, I have held the belt longer than anyone else, and numbers for our show have gone up 65%, boys and girls who are listening. What's up, Brocast? Ladies and gentlemen, we have a brand new shirt up in Pro Wrestling Tees shop, prowrestlingtees.com/BDRcast. You can go and get the BD Ream team, ladies and gentlemen. That shirt, it's modeled after the original 1992 United States men's basketball team for this dream team. Jordan, Pippen, Bird, Johnson.
Dumars, Thomas.
No.
Malone.
No. Dumars and Thomas, there was not a single Piston on there. Stockton, Mullen, Christian Laettner. No.
Right.
As a matter of fact, Michael Jordan used his politics to keep Isaiah off of it.
Grant Hill wasn't.
Nope, not on that one. That was
the
second one.
Yeah,
the second one. Okay,
No, Thomas and Dumars never touched the USA basketball team.
Oh wow.
So how black you are. You didn't know that. Silly goose. You goosey silly guy. Look, man, there's a lot to get into. First and foremost, I want to take a moment, do a 10-bell salute for a guy that a good friend of, it's like right over there too. A good friend of ours, Matt Brockett, passed away. When I say a good friend of ours, he was a friend of the show. Myself, Smitty, and Z knew him very well. Smitty may have been the closest to him. I was looking over some things, and I noticed that I was talking to Smitty about it earlier. I only have one photo with me and the guy, and that's because every time we hung out, it was just a conversation, and a great conversation, an in-depth conversation. It was never anything that was you felt like, oh man, this conversation's still going. It was always a good talk.
You look up and you realize like you've been talking to this man for like 2 hours.
Right, and
in 2 hours, and you were drunk as fuck.
Yep, and he was a good friend of ours. He was a good friend of the show because he also supported everything that we did. He was at our WrestleMania party at
you was at least
Buffalo
the Big Four
Wild
at
Wings.
least.
You know, he would try. He even texted me. He was like, I was trying to get people to come. I'm not gonna walk over there by myself and everything. But sorry, I can't come. Hope you have a great fucking night and stuff. And he was gonna buy the new shirt that just went up on Pro Wrestling Tees as soon as it came out. Unfortunately, unforeseen circumstances, he had a heart attack and passed away in his sleep. From everything that we know, so it was no pain, no agony that he felt, other than saying he didn't feel that well before he went and laid down. So we'll do a 10-bell salute and then a shot for this gentleman. All right, and do a shot. Here's the Matt, good friend of the show. Love you, brother. We'll see you soon. All right. That being said, guys, AEW's second show went out free for the masses on Bleacher Report Live, same as Fight for the Fallen, which is coming up in 2 weeks on July 13th. We don't have a lot to talk about that week, because the 14th is Extreme Rules, and the 13th is Fight for the Fallen, as well as Evolve's 10th anniversary show. Scorecards. Well, the only ones that we have is those two for the scorecards. So I feel bad for Daniel and the people over at Pro Wrestling Scorecards, but they're fucking kicking ass, man, kicking ass and taking names. They put that Fyter Fest thing. It did well, and it looked really good. And using the font that was going along with the show is what they put on the scorecard. And speaking of the scorecards, as we mentioned last week, Z had a 1-point lead. Information came out about the show. Things were changed. So all of us were offered a chance to switch stuff, because when the Moxley and Joey Janela, came out, they announced that it was a non-sanctioned match. Which we'll get into that in a minute. A non-sanctioned match between them because of the things that they wanted to do to each other. So AEW wasn't going to be held responsible, as it says. So when that changed, predictions changed. So we filled out, we fixed our scorecards a little bit. And Z decided to fix the scorecard enough to where he went from an 84 on the hard copy to a 69 on the changed copy. I did a 78, which means after he was being up by 1, I won.
69 is such a great number.
It is. And you know what? Just like 69, you went down.
Trying to go up.
Well,
you're the bottom bitch.
Just a big circle now.
So, again, the scorecard was great, and we're going to talk about Fyter Fest. Fyter Fest, the pre-show, the buy-in, as they're calling it for them, it kicked off with the triple threat tag team match. Best Friends, Chucky T, Trent Beretta, SoCal Uncensored of Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian, and Private Party was Isaiah Cassidy and Mark Quinn. What they did was they had a fight to see who was going to fight at All Out for a first round bye in the tag team championship tournament. And Best Friends got the win over the other two. I did not see. I can't remember who they pinned.
Beretta pinned. It wasn't Cassidy. It was the other one.
It was Cassidy.
It was
Cassidy. I had that one right,
yeah.
and I switched out Beretta. Yeah.
Okay. Then there was an impromptu match of Allie defeating Leva Bates, with Peter Avalon by her side, obviously as the librarians are playing their little gimmick role. And final match of the buy-in was Michael Nakazawa defeating Alex Jabali from CEO.
So interesting thing about the alley match. That was the first one-on-one women's match of AEW.
Nice. We're gonna continue talking about. We're gonna talk about all these matches and everything, and then as soon as the show happened, it kicked off with Christopher Daniels versus CIMA. CIMA got the win and a pinfall victory. Then it was a triple threat women's match: Nyla Rose, Yuka Sakazaki, and Riho. With Riho coming up with the win and a roll up pinfall over Nyla Rose. Then there was the fatal four-way match: Jimmy Havoc, Jungle Boy, MJF, and Adam Page. With Page getting the win over Jimmy Havoc. Then there was the Darby Allin Cody Rhodes match where Cody got the win. Nope. It was a
draw. Nope. Sorry, time to draw.
It was. You still kept going.
Sorry.
I wish there was a time limit draw on you right now.
Fuck off.
So yes, with the time limit draw, that was the end of it. So no one got the win, no one got the loss. And then, of course, it was Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson, a.k.a. Akuma, Ryu, and Ken versus the Lucha Brothers of Pentagon Jr. and Rey Fenix and Laredo Kid. Kenny Omega got the pinfall over Laredo Kid. And then at that moment, Justin Roberts goes to the ring and he says, "Hey, the official show is done." People start booing because they don't fucking know what's going on. And then he goes, "But there's still one more match. So the light's going to go off, and then they're going to come on, and then we're going to have a non-sanctioned match between Jon Moxley and Joey Janela, in which Joey Janela took the pinfall from Jon Moxley. This was AEW's second foray into the pay-per-view big show theme. Their first being Double or Nothing in Vegas. Obviously, a lot of people like to say All In, but All In was just the first show for Cody and the Bucks to produce for an independent show with a lot of help from Ring of Honor. This is all Con Money, AEW, All Elite Wrestling, starting with Double or Nothing. Now, Fyter Fest. And
Fyter Fest was also co-CEO, though, wasn't it? CEO was helpful on Fyter Fest as well.
No, it was CEO. They were at the gaming convention. It was already, they put on a wrestling show there. So the buy-in was better than the fucking show. Granted, you didn't have to pay for it, but I thought this was a huge misstep for All Elite Wrestling. I think that when you get a free show, which same as Fight for the Fallen, so it's very well could be better, and you're coming off of the heels of how good Double or Nothing was, this is just a huge letdown if you're watching this. You know, we were talking, the triple threat tag match is probably, if you're going full card, everything top to bottom, buy-in and show included, triple threat tag match is probably the best match on there. Right?
Followed by Alley and
I wouldn't say that. I would even say the Fatal 4-Way men's match, and then Alley would be after that. But by far, in my opinion, I think the worst match was the triple threat women's match. Nyla Rose, Yuka Sakazawa, and
would you really think that match was going to be good though?
It doesn't matter if it was supposed to be good. There were so many botched spots in it, so many things that just looked awkward. The finish to that match, like there was a couple decent spots, but nothing to the point where at the end of it I was like, okay, it was a good effort. I appreciate it. No, I was literally at the end of it going, what? Huh?
Yeah. It got better as the match went on, but
I think I'm giving them an excuse, but I'm like, but when it comes to some of those women, besides Nyla Rose, this is some of their first times on a stage that large.
So what?
I was like, I say I'm giving them an excuse, but that's like when you're on a larger stage than you're used to, you're either going to tear it up or you're going to mess up some places.
I even think the booking of that match was dumb too. I'm not even talking the botched spots. Nyla Rose took a roll-up pinfall victory over a girl who was a fourth of her size. Both of those women were a fourth of her size. She didn't take a roll-up victory from a person like,
Britt Baker or Awesome Kong.
No, not Britt. Not even talking Awesome Kong. That's way too big. Britt Baker, Kylie Ray, Allie, fucking Leva Bates. These are all women who are twice the size of the Rio and Yuka Sakazaki. Sorry. Yowie wowie.
Both of our Chinese competitors.
Yuka Sakazawi wowie.
Japanese and Chinese. Real Chinese.
It was the fact that she took a surprise roll-up when you're looking at it going, even if she squirmed, she'd get out of this pinfall. And she just took it was I thought really bad booking on AEW's part. I thought if you're going for the main card, MJF was your bright spot. MJF cut a great promo before the match. He was a pure heel in the match. Jungle Boy with the no feet on the ropes when he did the flip off the turnbuckle to the outside was great. Nick, so I'm kind of obviously I'm talking about how I feel about this. Nick, we'll start with you. How did you feel overall about the show, and including the buy-in?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I definitely didn't expect it to be on the level of Double or Nothing. But there wasn't really any like super moments where I just popped like I did at Double or Nothing. Like I told you before, I didn't watch the buy-in until today, and that triple threat tag team match definitely was the best match on the card for sure. I would agree with you that four-way match, with MJF and company on the card on the main event, that was good. It had some ups and downs. I mean, I wasn't overly impressed, but it was worth a watch. I never got really bored except for that women's match. That women's match it was tough to watch. It really was. And not even with the botches, but there was just some shit in that match that was really tickle butt. I'd like to use that phrase if I can. With some slaps.
That's copyrighted.
Some slaps and shit that just were kind of like, come on, dude. But it was okay. It was worth a watch. They should be lucky it was free. I'll tell you that.
Smitty, what was your feelings on it?
We talked about it earlier. Said you and I both agreed the buy-in was better. Like one thing we didn't mention was the Nakazawa Alex Jabali thing was actually pretty good for Jabali being a non-wrestler type deal. I think that's one of the best performances I've seen from somebody that's been a non-wrestler for a while. And
for a while, was he ever a wrestler?
He's
okay. When you say for a while, my first thought is he used to wrestle, and I'm like, I don't remember him ever wrestling.
That's the best performance I've seen from a non-wrestler in a while.
Oh, okay.
And some of the spots there were kind of So there was a couple spots in that that was a really entertaining match. Usually, I just found the main card kind of corny and kind of what they've been doing. What AEW's been doing a lot with since Cody and the Bucks have been booking, lots of the elite going over. I think that's one thing. One of these guys take a loss. One of these guys had to take a loss at All Out, or Fight for the Fallen. Well, somebody's going to take a loss at Fight for the Fallen for sure.
I am all right with the Bucks and Omega winning, and I'm even okay with because I knew they were going to win. You knew they were going to win. So the fact that Cody went to a
time limit draw,
a time limit draw, I was all right with it. I would have preferred to see Allen go over because it's not like Cody is going to be anything into the main event.
But by
scene
going
of
to
this.
a time limit draw with somebody that most people have rarely seen still puts him over in a sense. Darby.
No, I agree. But the other problem was it was a 20-minute match, right? Because it went to the time limit draw. And the first half of that match was just Darby Allin constantly outside of the ring. Mm-hmm. There was no real, it wasn't showcasing Darby Allin's abilities. And then he finally started fighting in the last 10 minutes of the match. And so because he wasn't doing any type of real fighting in the first half of that match, you didn't get the sense of, wow, this guy might be really hard to put away. It was just, then Cody started doing pin attempts for little stuff. Like, oh, I kicked you while you were in the body bag. I did the disaster kick while you were in the body bag. Oh, you kicked out. Well, yeah. Oh, I did this and you kicked out. Well, yeah. It wasn't like it was a build for him to where he was this major type of
attraction.
Not attraction, a talent that where you were like, man, he's going to be so difficult to beat. Holy shit, Cody didn't beat him. Oh my God. No, you're just like, oh, it went to a draw. Okay. And it's not like they weren't counting down the seconds either. You know what I'm saying? Like Justin Roberts in the background, 10, 9, 8. I'm like, really? You guys didn't get a fucking counter for this? You just have Justin Roberts. Right, yeah, you just have Justin Roberts as your timekeeper and your fucking announcer. He was just, I was like.
Oh, that's one of the jokes they keep doing on with AEW is the whole budget thing. So maybe they can work that into this whole budget storyline that they've been doing for all elite wrestling things.
What?
When it was doing a pre-show, it was like how we had to get rid of the models because it's over the budget and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So that could work into that. That could work into that whole executive storyline with being over the budget about doing stuff.
Well, I feel like they wanted to go there with Darby Allin with what you were saying is build him up to be this guy that is very difficult to put away, but it was too little too late in that match. They waited too long.
They don't have to build Darby Allin. He's already made a name for himself on the indies where...
It doesn't matter what he's done for himself on the indies if the general audience doesn't fucking know him.
I get that. But this shows that he can hang with Cody.
Oh, for sure.
So it gives him that rub.
Again, it didn't show that he could hang with Cody. It showed that...
The last 10 minutes.
The last 10 minutes. When the first 10 minutes of it, you're watching a dude just run. It doesn't make him look like he can hang with Cody.
Tossed around.
Yeah, or just thrown outside and then left. It just wasn't... He didn't look as strong as he should have. He looked like a kid that was just, I got to stay out here now. Oh, I got to stay out here now. Okay, now I'll start doing... that coffin drop, though? Yeah. Fucking holy shit. Yeah. We were all talking about it like, what's this trash can coffin drop? And then you fucking see him do it, and you're like, fucking ouch,
and
man.
The fact that he fucking missed it made it worse.
Oh.
He took some pretty good bumps. That one in the corner when he flew out of the ring and
out the ropes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, when he threw and he flipped and he went out. Yeah, again, the dude, he sold things. You know, I'm not trying to say that he... the parts that could have boosted him and built him up, they did great. They just, you know, it just was. It could have been so much more, and it wasn't. Of course, there's things that happened throughout the show that were kind of weird. So after that time limit draw that those boys went to, Sean Spears comes out and just blasts Cody in the head with a chair. Cody took an unprotected chair shot. A lot of people bitching about this unprotected chair shot. Like, you're on a live mic.
Sorry.
So...
Now swallow.
Yeah, that's what he wants you to do. Yeah, swallow. And then he takes this unprotected chair shot. Oh my God, Cody took a shot to the head and just so unsafe now. And it's like, grow the fuck up. Khan said in an interview afterward, he goes, it was a gimmick chair shot. It just went wrong. And the whole thing about going wrong is didn't go wrong that Cody bled. It was Cody bled on the wrong side of the head. He took that chair shot, went like this, got hit on the left side of the head, and then all of a sudden the side on the mat is his right side, and that's gushing fucking blood. It takes you out of it. You're trying to build something up. You're trying to remove the sense of disbelief, as we've always talked about. And as good as AEW has been, or at least showcasing that with the first pay-per-view, that this one just fell, I think, very short of any expectation. I'm not saying it was a shit show. I'm saying that it was very average. It was, if I had to rate it out of 10, I'd give it a 5. Because while there were good things about it, there were a lot of bad things about it too, and it just fell right in the middle. What did you think about that chair shot when you saw it and how he reacted to it? Smitty, we'll start with you.
I just said, oh shit. I saw opening the chair shot. Like initially, the initial shot is, oh shit, that actually happened on something that was not an indie show. Like not technically an indie show, but it's not WWE either. So an unprotected chair shot is something you don't see unless you go to an indie show. So.
I use the term "oh shit" a lot when stuff like that happens, and like legit, that's what I said too. It's like "oh shit," because didn't see that coming. An open face chair shot,
right? And then he looked at Brandy, and the ref Aubrey got in the way a bit in between Sean Spears and Brandy, and then he just ended up rolling out of the ring after.
Yeah,
MJF comes down and SCU come down, and things like that, looking over him, and it was a shock moment, but at the same time, I don't think it deserved anywhere near the bitching that people were giving about it.
Oh no!
If that offends you, do you want to go back and watch that I Quit match from the Royal Rumble?
Right? Have you not watched wrestling before back in the day? I mean, are you fucking real brand new to this shit?
Yeah, fucking Mankind.
Stop being a wuss.
Mankind getting blasted 12 times.
The fans that are bitching about it, though. The people that are probably bitching about it is the mom that was watching with their son and goes, "Oh my God, what is this?"
And that's what I don't get. Like,
stop being a wuss.
This has already been branded as something not PG. You know, like they've said it. We're doing more. I mean, again, we'll get into it on Raw, but I mean, they've used a much more foul language. MJF is just coming out, just berating people left and right. He goes, "I used to like video games too."
He's awesome.
He's amazing.
I think MJF is the bright spot for AEW right now, which going into that fatal 4-way, I thought that was poorly booked. I don't think Hangman should have went over on that. I don't think Hangman needed to take a pinfall victory.
Wait, hold on. Why don't you think he should have went over?
Because I think MJF should have went over.
But why?
Because MJF right now, okay, so in the grand scheme of things, you need to build up a future and you need to build up the now. Hangman was given his shot. He went through the entire fucking roster on the buy-in battle royal.
But now you got to make him look credible.
I agree, but him not involved in the match makes him not involved in the finish doesn't screw him at all. You know what I'm saying? But still gives a rub to another guy who was the last person eliminated on the buy-in battle royal. So he lost that match, and now he wasn't involved in this finish. But he doesn't. There's no momentum that he has. Hangman Page already has this momentum behind him, and Hangman, when he goes and he faces Kip Sabian at Fight for the Fallen, because the winner of that match faced Kip. He's going to face Kip Sabian. He can go over again there, or he could have gone over on someone else.
Well, Page is probably going to go over until All Out, and then he may become champion, may lose to Jericho. But they're going to build him up to make him look as credible as possible.
Especially going
so
against
that
Jericho.
way, going into the match, you think there's a chance that Jericho might not win the first, AEW championship.
Oh, agree. And now at the same time, I think I don't know what his schedule was, and I know he said he was boycotting it, but Jericho should have got involved in that match, unless he was doing something else, recording an album, something. But at the same time, dude, that motherfucker flew for All In, and then went and flew and did a concert.
But my understanding that this was like Kenny's show. Like, this was Kenny's idea. This was Kenny's baby. They threw some money at it, and Kenny kind of ran this whole thing.
Kenny did one last year as well, and it went into it again, going with the video game convention. They drew about 28,000 views last year. I don't know what this one got. Obviously, bigger money, bigger budget. So yes, it was Kenny's baby from last year that he wanted to bring back into this year, but it does not negate the fact that this is one of 4 shows before your TV tapings, one of 3 shows before the show that's supposed to take you in with all the momentum for your TV taping. You're not doing anything. And let's be very honest, Jericho hasn't been on Being the Elite. He wasn't on. Wasn't on Road to Fyter Fest. I understand that he said he was boycotting it, but again, I am not saying that Jericho should have skipped out on any other type of things. I don't know what he was doing, but Hangman not involved in that victory or loss because of a Jericho involvement, because they're going to be fighting.
That would have made sense.
Yeah, I think that's would have been much, or even fucking Jericho's music hitting. Jericho didn't have to fucking be there. Jericho's fucking music could have hit. I become, man. Hangman stops, pays attention, and MJF gets a roll up on Jimmy Havoc behind him.
Or at that point, Hangman could get a roll up on himself, and then you could build a match in between.
But at the same time, because the winner was going to face Kip Sabian at the next one, Hangman, if Hangman got the pinfall loss, one, it does make him look weaker. I'm very not okay with that. But if Jericho's music hit and MJF was rolled up Jimmy Havoc or Jungle Boy behind him because he wasn't paying attention to break a pinfall up. He doesn't. It's. Oh my God! I thought the guy who wanted to kick my ass for the AEW championship.
And then it still fuels the feud for Jericho and Page.
Yes, and it keeps it going, and it keeps that momentum going. Right now, dude, they didn't even talk about him fighting for the AEW Heavyweight Championship at all in that whole commentary for that match.
Not even once.
No, it was all about the Kip Sabian thing.
Yep, because Kip Sabian was sitting next there. Now they did when his entrance. They're like, oh, he's going to be fighting, for the AEW Heavyweight Championship and All Out. That was it. You didn't hear about it again. Granted, I thought commentary was pretty bad this month.
It seemed a little lost sometimes.
We'll get into that in a second. Now, how did you feel about that Fatal 4-Way match, Nick? What was it doing for you? Obviously, we've heard my comments, but as you're watching it and as you finish watching it, how are you feeling in the headspace of it?
Well, at first, I definitely thought, Hangman should go over because, like we said, the obvious. He's got a match coming up at All Out with Jericho for the title. But what you're saying does make sense. He didn't have to actually take the pin. He could have been distracted, whatever the fuck, and went into Fight for the Fallen with another match, went over on whoever it may have been. The match itself I thought was good. It had some really good spots. As more of a casual fan, why do I care who the fuck Kip Sabian is? He's at ringside. Okay, the winner faces Kip. Who fucking cares? Like, why? Who's Kip Sabian?
They're trying to make you care, though.
But but they didn't tell me anything about him. They just said, "Here's Kip Sabian." Okay, who cares?
Now, Kip Sabian fought Sammy Guerrero at the buy-in for Double or Nothing.
Okay.
So that was his first foray into it, and I believe he went over.
He went over. He won AEW's first singles match.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't remember that, but okay. Well, then that makes a little more sense.
But at the same time, if you we have to remember, at most casual fans don't watch that first hour that anyone does. WWE, anything, any pre-show. So just because it was on the pre-show doesn't mean you can't guarantee that somebody watched it. Obviously, we have one of our members right here didn't fucking watch it.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to
hold on. I didn't watch the whole show, not just the pre-show.
We're talking about the buy-in for Double or Nothing.
Well, I did watch
not Fyter Fest, which
I
gentleman.
watched the buy-in.
Yeah, I did too. I watched the buy-in for Double or Nothing.
You didn't remember it.
I watched all of Double or Nothing. I just didn't watch Fyter Fest.
Because I'm still learning.
That's what I was referring to as Double or Nothing.
I'm still learning some of these guys' names, and I knew I'm like, okay, I've heard that name before, but okay, so now it makes more sense. So,
Smitty, when you were watching it, things that stood out to you, some of the competitors, things like that.
I was really impressed with Jungle Boy. I haven't seen much of him, and I was impressed in over the budget battle royal, and then him in his fatal four-man match was impressive. I think as a singles competitor, I want to see him in Luchasaurus and tag team, and see him more in the tag team division probably. It seemed like their dynamic thus far has been better together than, even though they've both been impressive in general.
Right.
As singles.
And so for the match, though.
So before the match, like I said, I was impressed with Jungle Boy's performance. Was it MJF? Was it one of the best, probably the best heel in professional wrestling today? Followed by Sami Callihan, which we had that conversation in the car. And like Adam Page going over, I wasn't surprised, but I wasn't like, oh, he shouldn't have went over. I just said something, kind of something I just looked at and like, elite member going over.
And that seems to be the fucking case so far for everything. And dude, it was my worry about this fucking shit coming in.
The Jarrett booking.
I was like, dude, they can't constantly go over. Some of it makes sense. Like I get Kenny job to fucking Jericho. Great, awesome. Great, smart booking. Could have been a disqualification or a time limit fucking draw in the Lucha Bros and Young Bucks, right? That's why I'm not going to harp on the Cody and Darby. I'm only more harping on the fact that Darby didn't get more offense in or take more of a beating to where it looked like he was difficult to put down. The draw I was fine with. I'm okay with Kenny and the Bucks going over because Kenny needed a win, and Laredo Kid took the fall, so it didn't really do anything against the Lucha Bros.
And it continued to build that feud between the Bucks and the Lucha Brothers.
And even so much so more.
We planted a seed for All Out as well.
Yeah, for
Pentagon, Kenny too.
Which I'm pretty sure was the whole purpose of that match.
So it's they can't. You can't look at this and go, "Oh, you're running the company. Of course you're winning." Oh, you're running the company. Of course you're winning. Oh, you're part of you're great friends with the guys running the company. Of course.
No, they're just trying to establish a group of talent. So when they go live on TV, like these are our main guys. And now when they start putting people over, it'll mean something.
Especially for those people that aren't familiar with Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, whoever, if they see them lose, Kenny Omega sucks. I'm not. That's just what I'm. You know what I mean?
But there's also a way in a match to where someone can get over without going over.
Right? Yeah, you know.
Right, but the easiest way to get over is by winning the match.
I understand that, but Kenny Omega got over major against Jericho. Like that fucking match was, especially him having a broken nose within the first 5 minutes of that match, and then going another 20. That's fucking spectacular. That it shows his toughness. It shows his. But at the same time, he had that loss there, so I get him going with the win here. Mm-hmm. Even though it was kind of 50-50 booking, made sense. It made sense in this 50-50 booking. I don't want people to. I don't want them to get okay. Well, now we have to put you over because again, we have scenarios that we're talking about that make sense why these guys could not lose or lose, and it still makes them look good, because that's what you want to do. And if you're really trying to get talent over, which I fully understand that point, Z, but the other talent's not going over. It's just the elite guys for the most part. Nyla Rose, Joe made the mention in our group chat where he's like, they've had these in Mexican lucha wrestling and everything like that, but they wrestled the guys because she's trans, and he goes, I wouldn't have her win or anything because it just seems like a complete and total mismatch. And that's
almost like it's cheating. Like, oh, hey, I'm a girl. I'm gonna go wrestle in the girls' division.
Well, yeah, she's a guy.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I khakis. But you know what I mean.
Put on those rose-colored khakis. I understand what you're saying. And in that case, Yuka should have taken that pin in that, in that triple threat.
Yeah, neutralized Nyla.
Yeah, because now it looks, understand, like, again, she didn't take a loss. So now she's, first off, she was not the biggest woman in that division anymore. Awesome Kong is. Awesome Kong's way bigger than Nyla Rose.
And she's a real woman.
They took each other out in the first match. Nyla had no bearing on anything. Then Nyla Rose takes the pinfall loss. How are you going to build her up for this? It's...
You got to give her one-on-one with Awesome and have her go over eventually.
You had her rolled up by a girl that's
a fourth of her size.
A fourth of her size.
Those girls were little.
She should have threw her ass
right
off.
Right. So it's not like this
I'm
girl...
going to breathe and then my shoulder's going to come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. You don't put somebody in a schoolboy that's 4 times bigger than you. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
It was more like a cattle roll than a schoolboy.
Yeah, it was like she rolled forward. But yeah, it was still a roll-up. It was still a roll-up to where you were just like, what the fuck, man? Fuck the what, man? Commentary. Smitty, give me your thoughts on this commentary.
Once again, better on a buy-in than it was in the regular show. I think the best thing they did was when they tried to recover MJF's character after the chair shot. That's the best thing commentary ever did.
Commentary that they had for
Marvez was not in. It was Golden Boy instead of Marvez.
So it was Jim Ross, Excalibur,
and Golden Boy.
I like Excalibur on commentary though. I do in general. As
he was a little more toned down, I think, for this pay-per-view. I mean, in a good way. Like he
JR
was,
or Excalibur?
Excalibur wasn't just spitting all this fucking knowledge that's great that he has it, but he kind of toned it down a little bit and made it, I guess, dumbed it down. JR seemed kind of bored throughout.
JR to me,
because it was a shit show from what you guys are saying. JR was bored.
No, JR wasn't bored. JR couldn't get a fucking word edgewise.
Between him and Golden Boy.
Excalibur was calling the match.
Yeah.
I'm not even like doing colors. No, he's like, and now Nyla Rose goes for, the guillotine knee drop from the top. Like, that's Jim Ross is your main guy. You're supposed to have insight onto moves and things like that. Jim Ross is the main person, is the guy who calls Nyla Rose going for a pinfall, MJF going for a pinfall. What a move by Jungle Boy. Cody Rhodes took that shot to the head. You heard all of that stuff from Excalibur. Mm-hmm. And Jim Ross is just sitting there going, gosh, I just want to get some fucking words in.
Yeah.
That was a terrible JR impersonation.
It wasn't, I'm just, it was a terrible Jim Ross impersonation that he did on Fyter Fest.
Yeah.
Look, man, JR is your main guy, and you are not making it seem like he's your main guy. It seems like Excalibur is your main guy. Mm-hmm. And going forward, unless Excalibur, someone needs to be in their headphones, shut the fuck up. Because Jim Ross can't get a word in edgewise. I listen to Raw and Smackdown, right? And every now and then Corey will say something that happened in the ring. But for the most part, when Michael Cole goes to talk, everyone shuts up. Because he's running that commentary team. So when he's talking about things in the match, they'll let him go, and then he'll stop saying what he's saying, and they'll continue their thought. Jim Ross couldn't get a fucking word in edgewise on some of these. And it made him look like a fool. And it sucks
That's why
because
I thought he was bored. I was like,
Jim Ross is the voice of our generation. You know, there was Gordon Soley back in the day for everyone else.
Monsoon and
and then Monsoon and Heenan shortly after that, and then we had Jim Ross.
And Ventura, yeah.
You know,
Monsoon and McMahon.
It's a situation. Yeah, it is a situation to where that it was sad, and it was taking me out of it. Again, more stuff taking me out of this show. I'm just sitting there going, is JR going to say anything? I feel like AEW, for the massive leap forward they took with Double or Nothing, they just took 2 steps back with Fyter Fest. And I feel it hurt them going forward. It's a good thing that fucking Fight for the Fallen is free as well.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you I wouldn't be purchasing that with the card that they have coming up. And speaking of, let's talk about it. Fight for the Fallen, Brandy Rhodes versus Allie. Allie had that first singles win on the buy-in for Fyter Fest. Kenny Omega versus Shima. Cody and Dustin taking on the Young Bucks. Adam Page versus Kip Sabian. And just announced today a 6-man tag match of Darby Allin, Jimmy Havoc, and Joey Janela versus MJF, Sammy Guevara, and Sean Spears. The guy who MJF belittled and berated for hitting his friend in the head with an unprotected chair shot on social media, on the videos, everything, and now they're just putting them in it as a team.
It's on the buy-in too.
Yeah.
Maybe it leads to something else. Hopefully it leads to something else going
was
into
a Wookiee. It does not make sense.
What a Wookiee!
That only makes sense if they actually have some type of payoff with putting those two together somehow.
How are you going to put those two against each other?
No, like either Spears walks out or MJF walks out and it becomes more like a 3-on-2 type deal.
I understand that, but
or Spears just hits MJF in the head with the chair, and that's just his thing now.
There's got to be something to happen there's got to be a reason for putting them together. Just putting them together makes no sense. They have to have some type of reason to make it.
All right, now book something that would make sense to follow this, because I don't think anything could make sense following this.
We're doing this again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to ask everybody to do this. So, Smitty, you're first. I know it's on the fly. Because
have MJF walk out, and then Spears takes offense. Spears actually takes a pin somewhere in this scenario. So now he's got beef with MJF.
So MJF versus Spears at All Out.
Yeah.
Okay, Nick.
Yeah, something along those lines, or they get involved with each other during the match because of MJF's trying to pull a spot and Spears is in the ring fucking something up, and they get in each other's face and they have a brawl, and then all of a sudden the match is over, and then they see each other at All Out.
Z.
I mean, since both of my ideas were taken. MJF goes for the tag. Spears jumps off the apron and walks to the back, leaving it 2-on-3. They lose the match. Then somewhere on social media, you have MJF confront Sean Spears. Sean Spears, chirps back. They go back and forth on social media, YouTube, all that shit, and they end up booking a match for All Out.
All right. Smitty, who is the best heel in professional wrestling right now?
MJF.
Okay. Smitty, what is Sean Spears doing by blasting? What is Sean Spears becoming by blasting Cody Rhodes in the head with a chair? What is he becoming?
They're trying to build him as a heel too.
There you go. So you're putting these two heels who hate each other on a team with each other to then have them face each other at the next pay-per-view, but they're both heels and both really fucking good heels. So you're making one of them face? It's weird booking to me.
No, you're looking at it all wrong.
Okay.
You can have heel versus heel. That's easy. Two bad guys that want to figure out who's the badder of the two. It's real fucking simple storyline talk.
Face versus face works. I don't think heel versus heel works.
Heel
I think
versus
they both
heel
work.
works. Heel versus heel works all the time. What I'm saying, one of them's going to be more. The fans are going to like one of them more than the other, regardless. Mm-hmm. But they can both go into it heel But isn't AEW's whole thing they were going to get away from the whole who's a clear heel and who's a clear face thing, so it doesn't matter.
When they're going for the whole statistics, wins and losses matter, so that heel, face thing, that's kind of out the window.
Yeah, right. So it doesn't matter that they're both heels.
Storyline-wise, to me, I'm just looking at this, and in the instance for how it begins...
I have another scenario as well, too.
In the instance for how it begins... I'm wanting MJF to kick Spears' ass. I mean, that's how it should be built, right? Because Cody was just blasted, and MJF is the guy that you want to see defend his friend. Or, yet again, Cody could be facing Shawn Spears at All Out.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But another scenario I saw, like, we see some type of triple threat with Guevara in there, because maybe they get those two get into it so much, and Guevara takes a pinfall, and Guevara's blaming those two. And that leads to a three-way.
If Spears is the heel and he's defending his friend, if MJF is a heel and he's defending his friend, technically that would make him the face of the match.
Right.
So he would play face.
That's what I said. MJF is the face.
Oh.
But wouldn't that kind of ruin all the heel work he's done thus far?
And that's what I'm talking about, is because he goes in to play the face. And as good as he is on the microphone, I mean, it's at the same time, the fucker can get right back into heel mode. I mean, he straight up looked at him and said, I like video games too, and then I lost my virginity. Like, he fucking ripped the crowd. He fucking, I just want to make you guys all feel comfortable. All of the basement of your mother's basement of the woman that you live in, yes, she swallows.
When the crowd chanting, you suck.
He's Jericho. He's the Miz. He's
our good friend Brian Christopher Corpo.
Yeah, no, 110%. Yeah, absolutely. He's Corpo.
I showed Corpo that promo.
I posted it on, first time I ever seen the guy. I posted it on Facebook, and I was like, if Corpo was a professional wrestler, this would be his gimmick, hands down.
Then there was another a photo that he posted. A fan drew some stuff for him, and he posted. He goes, not too bad. And someone asked, because MJF is standing like this with his finger over his nose. And someone asked him, was like, why are you smelling your finger? And he goes, ask your mother, kid. I was like,
Mommy,
good job.
I guess the only person I think that's almost touched MJF heel wise is Sami Callihan, and that's it.
Let's move on. News dropped the day after our last show that Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff were given executive creator directors, one for Raw, one for SmackDown. Heyman took Raw, Bischoff on SmackDown. You got this announcement, and before, I just want to know what your thoughts were before seeing Raw and SmackDown. We'll start with you, Z.
I didn't really know what to think. I was excited because Heyman and Bischoff both know how to produce a wrestling TV show. Not sports entertainment, not a TV show, but like a wrestling TV show. But they both did it years ago. So I was excited, but I didn't get my expectations too high because I didn't know what to expect, and it's all been hot garbage as of late. So I kind of just went in like, all right, well,
Can't get any worse.
Yeah, right. Like, let's see how this goes this week, and I start watching. I'm like, oh,
well, no,
all right.
I don't even.
No, I'm not going into anything that happened. I'm just like, watch a couple minutes of it. Like, all right, and I ended up watching the whole episode. I sat, like, it's the first time I've actually watched a Raw intently. And God, I couldn't even tell you.
Nick, before Raw or SmackDown, you just got this news. You had days to sit on it. What were your thoughts?
There's a little excitement there. I wanted them to keep Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff. Keep that behind the scenes. Don't be, here's your Raw general manager, here's your SmackDown general manager. I'm fucking tired of that. Keep them producing the show from a behind-the-scenes aspect. Keep Paul Heyman doing his thing with Brock. Maybe see Bischoff once in a while, but I feel like they get more done when they're not in front of the camera and when they're back behind the curtain. So I want him to keep it like that.
Smitty, before Raw and SmackDown happened, again, I don't want to. None of it.
Got you. Kind of excited. I said they put Heyman in charge of Raw for a reason, because last time Heyman was in charge of SmackDown for a while was better than Raw.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, you're still treating the blue brand like a redheaded stepchild. So I was excited to see where their fingerprints were going to be on both shows, and you saw it.
A lot of people on social media were thinking that this was just killing it. They're like,
Desperation move?
it's not desperation move. They were thinking these are guys who are of the old guard. In '96, when wrestling was hitting its peak, that's when these guys were running wrestling. And my thought process on it was a little bit of the same, but it was, okay, yeah, these are guys of the old guard. However, that guard brought wrestling to its highest of heights. And on top of that, now that the writers and all the people in creative, including the wrestlers, aren't talking to Vince, Vince is only talking to Paul and Bischoff. So therefore, it's not Vince going, "That's good shit, pal." It's Vince going, "All right, what do you got for me, Paul? What do you got for me, Eric?" And Paul and Eric are being spoken to by people with fresh ideas, not ideas that go, "All right, you know what? He might buy this one because I don't want to lose my job, so I'm hoping he buys this one." People can go to Paul and Eric like, "Hey, what about this?" Not just going to it and thinking with an idea that he thinks they're going to buy. They're going to him with any idea that they have, whether it can be tweaked for the better or accidentally tweaked for the worse. So my thought process on it was the people on the creative team that talk to Eric and Paul might have a lot more leeway or at least emotional freedom to approach them with ideas. And that was all before Raw and SmackDown. Z, you mentioned how you watched Raw, and after Raw, it was the first time you've watched Raw in the entire episode of Raw, like straight through like that in a long time because it's been hot garbage. Nick, after you watched Raw, and again, just Raw, what were your first thoughts without going into details of things that happened on Raw, just of the show?
I enjoyed it. It's the first time I've really enjoyed the majority of Raw in a while. It was a solid show. There was still a couple times when I was like, all right, here we go, But, yeah, for the most part, it was one of the better Raws I've seen over the last 2-3 months.
All right. Smitty.
Yeah, I've been at Oak with Nick here. Like, it was one of the first times I've watched Raw in a long, long time and go, I actually enjoyed it. And even if me trying to nitpick something, there's not too much I could have nitpicked at.
I'm the same way. I thought this was one of the better Raws in a while. I put on a tweet on our Twitter, obviously, that said if anyone thinks that this week's Raw and SmackDown are going to be leaps and bounds improved just because Heyman and Bischoff taking over, they're delusional. And I still don't think that Raw was leaps and bounds improved. Was it improved? Yes.
Yeah.
Was it better than what it's been this year? Yeah. Was it better than some of the episodes that I saw in 2018? Probably a majority of them. I wouldn't even say it was the best Raw of the last year and a half. Because there was still things that, again, take you out of it. I will say that I think that I thought it was the best put together Raw in a very long time. There's still storylines they have to finish that were built up before this. Extreme Rules is coming up in 2 weeks. So it's not like they can just completely negate things that are going on and just throw Heyman's words and things into it. They have to finish up what was built, what has been being built.
What you started.
But I will say that this Raw had much higher ratings than a lot of Raws, than other one Raw since the Superstar Shakeup. This was the first time the third hour for Raw was not the lowest rated hour of Raw in years. It was just the second hour. Third hour wasn't better than the first, but still higher than the second, which hasn't happened for years. And that's, I think, a huge Heyman fingerprint. Starting a story in the first hour and continuing it throughout the show and culminating in the main event is something that you haven't seen regularly on Raw in a very long time. let alone put together that well. So after Raw, I was thoroughly impressed with the direction that they're taking if Heyman's going. Now, SmackDown. Z, you saw SmackDown, you watched it knowing Eric hopefully had his fingerprints on it. What, without obviously going into specifics, just your feelings on SmackDown from previous SmackDowns compared to this one.
It would have been a good show if it was a go-home show.
If it was selling into Extreme Rules?
Yeah, because there was a whole lot of talking and not a lot of action. So I feel like it should have been a go-home show. But, I mean, it wasn't bad. But I'm also looking at it from a...
It only had one match less than Raw. There were 5 matches on SmackDown, 6 on Raw.
There was really 5. I just feel
Bryan
like...
Big E, Bayley and Nikki Cross, Andrade and Apollo, Ember Moon and Mandy Rose, and then Heavy Machinery versus Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler.
Okay. I just...
But again, that doesn't change the fact that it didn't feel like it. There's a huge... Just because there was, doesn't mean it felt like it. And obviously for you, it didn't feel like it.
Yeah, right. I would have thought they had 2 matches on SmackDown. I mean, obviously, I know they didn't, but...
Right.
That's what it felt like. I just felt like every time I would look at the TV, there was a promo or somebody was talking. I mean, it led to some action and it set some things up. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it was too much talking.
Nick, feelings after SmackDown was done?
Yeah, I agree with Z. There was a lot of talking. Some of it a little forgettable. But, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't one of the better SmackDowns lately. Obviously, it wasn't better than Raw. But it was all right.
Smitty?
I saw some of Eric on it, but I see lots. I was thinking it seemed like Eric trying to tie up some of the loose ends that have been set on SmackDown over the last couple of weeks before he puts his actual fingerprints on it.
Which is good. You need to. You can't just fucking forget about what's going on.
But there's small things that just kind of showed up. Like, oh, that's where Eric's coming in right here, and that was it.
Well, I mean, the way I looked at it though is okay. Now, thinking in my head that there's more talking than there was on Raw, I'm like, okay, so Eric's doing this because Eric's thing is be different. Like, okay, this is what Raw did, so we're going to focus in on promos because they focus on wrestling. You know what I mean? Like, that was just my thought process.
The mid-card matches weren't that, like, it seemed like Eric also focused on
because
mid-card.
of Heyman, Cesaro's getting a push.
And it seemed like Eric was focusing a lot on the mid-card that it's regularly kind of ignored. The only thing that I had a problem with is the IC champion was not really mentioned. He just had a quick promo in the back. That's it.
You know, I did read, though, that while Bischoff was at SmackDown, he's not really putting his finger in there until after Extreme Rules. He's, like, watching things happen, seeing how they run, and then after Extreme Rules, he's going to grab the reins and
yeah, because then he can blow shit up and rebuild.
Which also makes sense, though, because Heyman's been at Raw for the past month and a half. Like, he's been backstage, obviously, with the Brock Lesnar stuff. So he's seen how things work. So he had a better way to take certain things and works other things in. I can totally see Eric just sitting back and helping tie loose stuff up. Excuse me. And things like that. So, yeah, after SmackDown was done, I was like, there were a couple great moments in that show. And for the most part, at the end of it, I was like, was it better than the week before? Maybe, maybe not. Was it on par? I'm more likely to say it was more on par than worse or better.
I was excited about SmackDown because I watched Raw.
Yeah,
sure.
So it was a good lead-in. And that's what it should be. That Raw should lead into SmackDown. But the other problem is there's still things wrong here. Dude, we're talking in the car. Smitty was like, Kevin Owens is a Raw guy. No, Sammy's a Raw guy. Kevin Owens is a
that wild card was just...
And where was Sami Zayn this week?
Again, he just wasn't on, and that's fine.
Right.
Because you don't have to feature everybody all of the time. But at the same time, you have already confused a lot of people with these wild card shows, moving everyone around.
Nikki
You
Cross.
don't know where...
Nobody knows where Nikki Cross is, even though she's registered on Raw.
Yeah, you don't know where anything is going.
Nikki. Is it... I mentioned that...
Now, wasn't the wild card thing... I believe I realized on Raw, as I was watching it, that there wasn't as many wild cards as there had been in previous weeks.
Because they're all on SmackDown.
It was just the New Day.
Yep, New Day.
And that was it.
Miz
Miz
and Elias actually had a Raw match. Miz is SmackDown. Miz and Elias are SmackDown.
Okay.
So that's 5 right there.
I thought they were both
Carmella had a match on Raw. She's
That's
SmackDown.
6. And Truth was on there too.
Yep, Truth has been all over everything.
Well, yeah,
24/7.
24/7
Carmella
is
and
kinda-
Truth kind of go with the 24/7 championship, so it's kind of the loophole there.
Let's see. Yep, so yeah, there was
Oh,
New
Heavy
Day.
Machinery.
That was on
Heavy Machinery was on
SmackDown.
SmackDown. What are you talking about?
No, so they're on SmackDown or on Raw.
No, they're not.
Heavy Machinery wasn't on Raw.
Then they had no, I'm thinking last week. Not
When
this
they
week.
first came up to the main roster, they were on both.
Something about what match was it when they had restarted and it was New Day and Heavy Machinery. Was that last week?
That wasn't this week. New Day was with the Viking Raiders and Samoa
Yeah,
Joe
okay.
this week.
So I got my weeks.
I'm looking
mixed
at
up.
I'm looking at it right now. So yeah, Carmella, again, I'm not going to make mention of Truth. So Carmella, they're Miz and Elias,
Drew McIntyre.
New Day, and Drew McIntyre is Raw.
Does Shane McMahon count?
Shane's both. She's a McMahon. They run it, so he's both. He's not.
You still technically had 6.
Yeah, so it was still a good amount. And then on SmackDown, Nikki Cross, Alexa Bliss was shown in the backstage because of that. Samoa Joe was on there. And that was it. There was actually less wild cards. SmackDown actually.
I was just trying to see which one of them is trying to be like, this is our show. These are our people.
Right. Yeah. Now, here's another question. You asked about Sami Zayn. Where was Roman? Roman was not.
This is the first time in a long time Roman has not been featured on either Raw or SmackDown.
The
smart.
Undertaker was there and Roman wasn't.
So smart, because they're doing something that after Raw, I said it. I was talking with a lot of people about it. You saw 80% less Shane McMahon and Baron Corbin this week on Raw and on SmackDown, because they are all only in one fucking segment. Shane was on, the segment on both, but a segment. It wasn't a show built around them. Raw was built around fucking the club and culminated in the main event. SmackDown was built around Kevin Owens and Dolph Ziggler's storyline, culminating in the main event. That both of these shows had something that at the beginning-ish, because I can't say it was at the beginning of Raw, because Raw was Braun and Bobby, which we're about to get into. But at the beginning of it, in the first hour, something was set up, and it culminated in the main event of the show. Both of those shows did that. So I have hope for both of these because of these fingerprints that are on there that I can't wait to see what the future is when they actually start running them for real.
Let's say
Now,
the mid-card stuff feel like it mattered on SmackDown.
and on fucking Raw.
Yeah.
Same thing. So Raw kicks off Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley in a fucking Falls Count Anywhere match that Braun Strowman ended up spearing Lashley through, I guess it's still called the Titantron?
The LED screen.
The LED screens of the Titantron. And it was pyro and fireworks central in Electric City, the nerve center for WWE's Monday Night Raw. Z, you saw this. You saw it explode. It was the first thing that happened on Raw. Your thoughts, literally watching it happen.
He goes through it. You see the spark. I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting interesting. And then, fireworks go off like the 4th of July. And my first thought is, okay, so we brought back pyro. All right, I'm in.
I was like, we wanted pyro.
And I'm watching it, and they let it go a little too long. It's being real nitpicky with it.
I agree.
But it seemed to die down at the perfect time, and then right after that, like, they lit 2 more cakes or whatever and shooting sparks. Like, no. But that's just me being too realistic with it, because I know how electronics work, and that's not how that would blow up.
Right.
But Also,
there are some things you will never suspend your disbelief on when you know how things work properly. I agree. For an untrained eye like myself, I was like, a little much, agreed. But at the same time, I would not have gone, oh, I could tell that was a firework versus that could have been a spark from a wire block.
Yeah, but
there's some, yes.
Especially when they did the little pause and then you saw the one go like that. It was a little fucking cake and it shot everywhere. But
holy
I'm just saying,
shit.
with electronics like that, it's normally like a big and then, there's a fire or something. Either way. The other thing that got me was
thanks for killing
they were still on video and they videotaped the whole thing, but they lost sound after Corey said holy shit. And when they came back on the air, they're telling us all this is everything that runs the show and it's out. Well, if it's out, how the fuck are you on the air right now? Was my first thought. But the one thing I did like from start to finish of the show, they never fixed it. In fact, they just ran caution tape through it and was like, fuck it, we're not going to touch it.
Nick, that opening segment.
Well, I had to go back and rewatch it because my power was out for a few minutes. So when
It took out your power too?
Oh, yeah. That's when you know it's real.
They took out power all the way to
Suspended
Michigan.
all the disbelief.
It was like Lashley hit the grate, my power went out.
It was a blackout.
Couldn't fucking believe it.
Not from me. It's only racist if it comes from you guys.
My power came back on during the commercial break after that happened. So when they came back from break, I was like, oh, damn. Okay. All right. And I have the untrained eye, but it definitely was kind of like, wow, that was a little too long.
Well, and this is what I was talking about with the camera angles before.
Yeah.
I noticed on the replay, they showed this one and it's like the third cameraman back filming it. And from his vantage point, it really does look like the shit explodes. So, I mean, that was just good.
So basically for anyone who was in the audience where they were,
But I like the way that the Michael Cole and Renee and Corey, they had this somber tone to their voices and making you think, wow, this is really fucked up. And, and okay, we're trying to move on now with the Viking Raiders coming out. And, I mean, it was cool. Yeah.
They did a really good job of that, though, too.
Yeah.
Making sure.
Commentary?
And they stuck, not commentary, like throughout the night, like, moment of bliss or whatever she did. Like, oh yeah, my heart goes out to blah blah blah, and then went.
Yeah, Miz said that, and
right. So they everyone went along with that storyline, which was cool.
Smitty,
first things first. Corey Graves on the commentary when it initially happened. That was the first thing I said. That's a Heyman fingerprint right there.
They said shit on TV.
Yeah, and I thought the match itself was not bad either. I thought the match was actually probably the best thing they've actually done since putting these two together. And this whole segment, I've not cared about any of it since they started this angle.
You really didn't like the tug of war? Yeah.
Yeah, tug of war. It's a tug of rope. What about arm wrestling? Dude, arm wrestling has been a staple in wrestling matches since the fucking 60s.
Yeah, the last good one was Ahmed Johnson versus whoever he faced.
Scott Steiner versus Triple H.
I don't remember that one.
Freaks and Peaks. Baby.
See, that's how much I care. I care about the arm wrestling segments.
As he knows them all.
I cared about seeing Scott Steiner on WWE television for the first at that point. And that's
two things I care about: my freaks and my peaks. God, I love Steiner.
Yeah, but this the one thing. This segment actually, I want to see if this goes any farther. If this is the end of it, that's the end of it. But then after Bobby Lashley tweets, a little tweet, whatever.
This is not the end of it. This is just a way to
make you care about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it hit the marks where it should have hit. That's how I felt about it.
My thought process on this was it was smart. Because, yes, Corey yelling, holy shit, made me go, whoa, I wonder if he was supposed to say that. Obviously, you think that the audio's out already, and Corey could just be looking at something and saying that and not supposedly saying commentary. Same time, very well could have been, hey, slide this in there. On top of that, it was a way, like you were saying, Smitty, to bring back your give a fuck about Strowman and Lashley. Not necessarily the feud, but them as performers. Because you haven't given a fuck about either of them in a long time.
Nope. So you cool down Strowman.
Now, there's... What happened afterwards is where I really appreciated it to an extent. So when it was showing that camera down on it, which first off I was like, oh wow, you have a camera there. Weird. Why, like they should have just had regular handheld camera guys there, right? But that camera, it showed Corey Graves in there helping clear things out, helping fix that. So I was just like, okay, that's good. Because you're trying to suspend disbelief, make it seem like everyone's fucking surprised by this, which it very well could have been a surprise.
But they went one step further. Like, they went with actual emergency services. They did the whole 9. Like,
yeah, exactly. But then at the same time, if you watch the replay and you look in the top right corner of that screen, there's a dude just sitting there watching it. And then another dude comes over there and starts drinking water and talking to him, laughing about what's going on. I'm like... that's nitpicking.
That's a nitpicking.
That's not nitpicking though, because anyone who catches that, it takes away your suspension of disbelief. Because nobody who catches that goes, "That's real now," or "That's serious," or because now you're looking at two guys who are in the top right of your screen. One's been sitting down there for basically the whole segment of it. And then another guy's just got drinking water, talking this. So, you're like,
Well, the only reason I said I was just my disbelief because I know I have friends in that work in emergency services. There's usually some type of escort, and things are like you're kind of quarantined off from the area.
Hold on.
I'm talking any casual fan. That's the only reference to it.
But I've always bitched about this, so I was glad they did it. Is they normally when they have something like that happen that they plan, EMS is there.
Right.
Like, no matter what. They did, the first half an hour of Raw was the footage of them, getting carried out and strapped to the gurney and everything. But they delayed EMS coming in for a couple minutes. So they just laid there for about 5 minutes lifeless. And then EMS came in and they actually went through the procedure. I mean, not to the T, but went through the procedures like putting somebody on the backboard, putting them up, not lazy, okay, all right, who we got back here? You 4, your EMTs tonight. It looked like they actually hired actors or something, which made it that much better. They actually played through with the whole story.
But yeah, that's what I was talking about. It's not so much people that know specific things, as because I don't know EMS things, I don't know electricity things. But those two guys in the top right off the bat, I was like, damn it. You guys, you fucked up.
You sons of bitches.
Now, let's go into the storyline that was built throughout. AJ Styles and the club have been, for the last couple weeks, AJ's been trying to get Gallows and Anderson to act a little bit more serious. They finally came back this week well, you didn't really take it all to him. And even last week, I was like, how come they just seemed so on page when they were intimidating Ricochet at the pay-per-view rather than how do you not hear it in your headphones?
I'm not wearing them.
Oh, put them on. I can hear
you. I've only got one.
But then again, at the same time, it's way different because obviously you hear a chew, a hard candy chew, when you're chewing it. But if you had your headphones on, you could hear how fucking loud it is. I can hear how loud it is over here.
Not swallow.
It's not the first time white things have shot at his face.
Won't be the last.
But it's the first time he missed.
Oh! Man, Pride Month was over.
Did he just bury himself?
He did. He was like, here, get the shovel. I'm gonna jump in this right now. Come.
That's weird. Z never misses.
You did this time, bitch.
So, obviously, they've been messing with each other a little bit back and forth. But this one, there was a real storyline built in, using Ricochet as the pawn in between to get AJ to act a certain way. Gallows and Anderson is what they did. And it culminated with, at the end, AJ just beating the shit out of Ricochet after the match.
It was just AJ. It was all of them.
That smack backstage was awesome.
Yeah.
And the eventual reformation of the club at the end, even to where tweets were sent out regarding it, which is really good because, look, we've all said it. A lot of people have been paying a lot more attention to social media, especially with this 24/7 stuff. So the fact that they did things on Twitter, like Carl Anderson, hope y'all are ready. The handcuffs are off. We're not taking any shit from anyone. Hashtag the club. Gallows, none. Welcome to the party, because he quoted Gallows' tweet, clinking the Japan flag. And then AJ, it's not in a far off country. It's not in the history books or old videos. It's here and now. Hashtag Raw. So they're playing into it. Nick, the build, the culmination, is it something that you wanted? Did you need to think this happened? Do you feel they buried Ricochet a little bit in this?
I don't think they buried Ricochet. I'm glad to see the club is reunited. I like Gallows and Anderson. I thought they were buried for a long time, and to put them with somebody like AJ, and they're going to make a great, stable heels. I'm all about it. And no, I don't think they buried Ricochet at all. Not at all.
Smitty, do you think it's too little too late for the club's reformation?
No. Because I've always had hope, and I know what Gallows and Anderson can do as somebody who's watched them for years. And then with AJ just works. It worked when they first did it, when they first came and AJ first got there. And I agree with Nick when it comes to the Ricochet thing. Ricochet looked good in both matches. Ricochet won the second. And literally what happened this week is more so to improve Gallows and Anderson. It made them look like the badass they should have been since day one.
Mm-hmm. Z.
I was okay with it. I liked it. The thoroughness of the storyline, that as long as they don't kill it kind of like they killed their last run, as long as they actually give them the heel push and the creative freedom to kind of do what they did in Japan, then I think they'll be all right. And I think they'll be the next big faction.
Do you think that it should have been Finn instead of AJ?
No.
Why?
Because when they brought AJ in and they brought Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson in, they touched upon them being running mates with AJ Styles, and they kind of pushed that angle. Now, we all know
they also played the seeds with Finn too, though.
Yeah, but not like they did AJ. Like they teased Finn. They planted seeds for AJ.
Even with OGBC shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't been. It would have been more. Would have been more true with Finn though.
Yeah, but nobody even mentions that Finn is technically the original creator.
Him and
Carl Anderson are
Anderson and
Bad Luck Fale were the original three.
Yep.
Gallows is brought in next.
Right. So I just know this is what they pushed from the beginning. So that's why not Finn. Plus, he's got the Intercontinental belt and he's still kind of doing the demon thing. I don't know if he did the demon thing when he was president.
He was painted.
He did it.
Oh, okay.
Even because Gallows was painted in Japan and had
Doc Gallows.
Yeah.
Can they bring Finn into this?
With the wild card, yeah.
Because, man, they don't make stables bigger than 3 guys other than, Shane and his crew right now.
Oh, Imperium.
Well, stable's technically 5 guys.
Well, you know what I mean,
right.
a group.
Well, right.
A faction.
Right.
Faction,
Obviously.
yeah.
They,
you could.
I wouldn't mind it, but it'd be a weird dynamic. I would think that your wild card would have to be Gallows and Anderson, and Finn and AJ would stay on
their respective brands.
Yeah, respective brands. And they would lead it in each of those. Like, this is the SmackDown version of the club. But again, it's called Balor Club, man. And now they're calling themselves the club.
It's for everyone.
So I don't know if that could work or if it would work. Because when when Prince Devitt left in New Japan, AJ took over the leadership spot. They kicked out Devitt. And just like how everyone's been removed, But when AJ left, Kenny took over leadership of Bullet Club. But I really asked this because even Tama Tonga put out a tweet. They're like, why isn't Finn in the club? Didn't he start this club? And it makes sense. Like, these
they
are
brought
guys.
in GOD after they brought in AJ. I mean, right before AJ came in.
So it was. If you're playing into something, I feel like the Finn push that should have been there before the shoulder injury really hurt any type of build for Finn to run this. But even at the same time, on SmackDown, they were pushing the club when Finn was on Raw getting the push for the Universal title. So it was still something separate, even though that one pay-per-view, Finn was backstage and AJ, Luke, and Carl were like, they're just like, see you later, guys. Yeah. I don't feel it's too little too late, like I asked you. I don't feel Finn should be a part of this because I think if they do something for real with Finske, that's what I'm going to call that feud, Finske. For the IC title, I think it could be great. I think if you play into that and you let it play like
and you have
you
Heyman
did,
or Bischoff,
and it'll be Bischoff running that, I think it could be a really good thing, especially if you have Shinsuke do what all he did when he walked up to that. He just looked at it and just tapped the belt with it too sweet and he walked away. It could be great, and then you're building up Shinsuke again with a real opponent that can utilize his strengths and mask his weaknesses and hopefully give him some sort of build, That being said, Kevin Owens on SmackDown seems to be getting a slight face push. Mm-hmm. That promo right in the beginning where he just berated Dolph Ziggler.
I think it's more of a tweener push.
And how he was, because he was going against Shane totally. 100% reverb on what Shane wanted him to do. He's like, no, I'm going to read this one. This question's way better than that one.
And when he first started, I was like, why is he reading off cards and why is he doing it like that? When he was like, under... Taker.
I thought it was so good.
So did I, but I was like, but why is he doing it? And then when Shane came out and goes, you read those cards like I told you to. And I was like, okay, now it makes sense.
The best in the world. The Kevin Owens thing, Smitty. You just said you think it's more of a tweener push
because like everything he did in ring still was still heel. Yes, he was fighting against the authority of Shane. Him and Ziggler had their back and forth, but everything he still did in the ring was super heel.
But he turned on Dolph at the end of it and beat him up, and Dolph is the consummate heel, so him going at Dolph kind of makes him the face, similar to how the MJF Shawn Spears thing was discussed.
I guess we all know. We just saw Kevin Owens try to be a face. That's why I think they're probably going to put him in a tweener position. Well, especially with guys like Bischoff eventually taking over. So he's going to blur the lines of face and heel. Like you had to deal with guys like Paige, during Monday Night Wars.
Are you thinking that this could be more of a face push than a tweener push? And if it is face or if it's tweener, are you happy it seems like they let some of the reins go for Kevin Owens?
First off, I'm happy they let some of the reins go for Kevin Owens because he's got some of the best mic work and he's adaptable on the fly. So, I mean, loosening the reins on him is just the right thing to do. As far as the whole face heel tweener, Kevin Owens is a tweener regardless. That's just how he is naturally. So when he's a face, he's still going to get booed by certain people. And when he's a heel, he's going to get cheered by certain people just because he is who he is. He's got that type of personality where nobody's ever just going to hate him because he's just too good at what he does. So I don't think it's either. I just, they go, all right, hey, you're going face. All right, so I say, a few PG words, but stick to my, regular stuff, and I'm good.
Nick, this build, which again was another, like we said, a storyline that began at the beginning of the show, the first hour, and it built all the way through the main event. What are you hoping to see out of this, even if it's pushing Kevin Owens into a title picture, pushing Kevin Owens just as to more of a top babyface, top heel, anything? Like, what are you hoping for this after the build? Because obviously we're all in agreement that it was really good.
I think Smitty and Z both made some pretty good points. I kind of get that tweener feel from him, but to Z's point, he is fantastic on the mic. To bring him out and have him play the face is great. Have him play a heel is great. I would like to see him as go babyface for sure. I like that direction he was going with the New Day. Maybe not to that extent, but I like that idea of him as a face. And he even said on, I think he was on Lillian Garcia's podcast, he said, I've been a heel for a long time, and he would love to do something as a face. And I think there would be a lot of people that would get behind him, much as there are a lot of people that love to hate him or hate to love him or vice versa. I think it would work really well. I'd really like to see him as face.
I think you've seen Kevin Owens' maturation on the microphone from heel to he could become a face as big as The Rock because of his talking ability.
His charisma.
That's why
very charismatic.
That's why when the fans cheer him no matter what he does, it was kind of like Rock. When Rock was first pushed as Rocky Maivia, he was supposed to be the ultimate babyface, always smiling when he came out, and things like that. He said that's what Vince told him. Just always smile, man. They're gonna love you eventually. They're gonna just get used to you.
And I loved him then.
And
like I was a kid, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be the next big thing." You watch.
And then the main fans started going, "Die, Rocky, die! Rocky sucks!" chant. So when he came back from injury, he came back as a bad guy. And he played into that heel dynamic. And that heel dynamic eventually, with his charisma, his mic work, his abilities, and reasons to follow him, that's why he has become the ultimate babyface and mic guy for WWE. I think that Kevin Owens is the closest to that we have seen. Sure, we've seen great mic workers. The Miz. Even Miz, when he's starting this little face thing, it's still good. But Kevin Owens, the way
figure four that last week
when Owens gave him his berating promo to Ziggler, the fans were like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
Miz can give a berating promo all he wants, but it doesn't have that much sock to it.
It felt so real.
You were just like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, you could have been a thing 8 years ago, and you were for a minute, and then what?" And then he had the ultimate comeback. Like, yeah. But if I wasn't a hot dog eating contest, I'd win, unlike you in wrestling matches. And you're just sitting there going, I want to love you, Kevin, for the rest of my life. Will you go to prom with me?
Here's a hot dog.
Right. And then continuing on, the bickering in the locker room and everything like that, to in the match. The Rock was great at trash talking in the match, too. So is Kevin Owens. Mm-hmm. I think the only person that might be better than both of them is someone that's not main roster, and that's Bobby Fish. I've seen indies, and I've seen guys talk, but Bobby Fish at that NXT show that we were at
that
was not only vocal, but fucking on point, unscripted, to where I was like, Bobby Fish should get all of the mic time right now.
Well,
I think they should.
Cole is good too.
But yeah, I mean, he's not bad. But I'm talking about there's people who are like The Rock wasn't supposed to be Nation of Domination #1 guy. That was supposed to be Ron Simmons. But Ron Simmons straight up just fucking could not hold a candle to The Rock, and that's what happens. So eventually, some people break out and they're gonna be bigger. In sync, they were trying to put JC Chazé, but Justin was just like, "Hi,
it's gonna be me."
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what he was doing.
Well, if it was Smitty, it'd be Lance Bass.
Same, yeah.
I'm more of a Joey Fat one.
Okay. But that's there's a breakout star that people don't always plan for. And that's what happened in The Rock's instance, which could happen in Bobby Fish's instance. But right now, it seems like Kevin is just taking this ball that they kind of handed to him, and he fucking turned it into one of the biggest snowballs in the world, and he's running with that bitch. And I'm very happy for that. Next moment I want to talk about on SmackDown Kofi Kingston, Samoa Joe had a nice little promo. Samoa Joe said, if you shake my hand, everyone that you love will be safe. I will not attack them until after our match at Extreme Rules. You know me, Kofi. You know I'm serious when I say this. What do you say? Samoa Joe puts his hand out in that nice little camera angle. Kofi did this, and I say the nice little camera angle because anyone who's watching the live feed, they cannot see what's behind the microphone. But it's totally my middle finger, which eventually the camera cut and caught Kofi giving him the middle finger. Nick, your thoughts on that? Is you like Attitude Era, a little bit too much, maybe just enough for right now, as long as it's not overblown and things like that? What were your thoughts like that?
Just enough. Just enough. I mean, there was no... He wasn't waving around in his face. It was very subtle. You know, the play up to the fact when he flipped him off, he didn't... Maybe he might have shook his hand. Maybe he might have kicked him in the dick. You know, you didn't really know. And then all of a sudden, that was really the last thing I thought that he was going to do. And the camera angle was perfect because you didn't really see it. I thought it played out well.
Corey Graves' commentary was great, too. It was like, oh, you don't need... We all know what that gesture is.
Yeah.
Z, is this what you want from Kofi Kingston right now as your WWE champion? It's a different type of feel to him. He's not just always the playful guy, and you can buy him as a much longer run as WWE champion? Or are you like, this isn't Kofi, and you kind of just killed his character?
I don't think you killed this character because they need to give him some kind of mean streak if they're going to give him
like did 09.
Stop.
Sorry.
If they're going to give him a lengthy title run, they have to give him a mean streak. Otherwise, like, yeah, the happy-go-lucky gimmick isn't going to be believable all the time. Like, sometimes you're going to have to get your hands dirty, so here he is, and let's see what he does with it.
And is this a good person to do it against because it's Samoa Joe, one of the more ruthless guys that they have?
Absolutely. This would be like the way I look at this is Kofi and Joe is like Triple H, Cactus Jack.
Pulling Triple H out of the Hunter Hearst Helmsley into a much more...
Yeah, and gave Triple H that rub where, okay, this guy's actually a badass. Because they had that, that really good match. And Triple H, like, had to go... you saw Triple H do things he's never done before, and you're like, whoa, hold on a minute. Hunter might be a badass and not some preppy boy from, Connecticut or whatever he was built from.
Smitty, I want you to take your feelings out of this because I know it's going to be difficult. Samoa Joe obviously is bringing out a much more aggressive side with Kofi Kingston because of this. And as was stated, it seems like it is probably the perfect opponent to do it against. However, is it a situation to where when Extreme Rules happens, at least right now, do you feel there's any way that it's Joe that takes the belt off of Kofi without any outside inner thinking, oh, then maybe Brock might do it at Fox or something like that? Just this is something that you could actually see Kofi drop this belt to Joe.
I can see Kofi dropping the belt to Joe, but when it comes to Kofi's aggression, we've seen Kofi aggressive before. His whole feud with Orton.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm referring to.
I can see it, and that's like, was it emotions going or not? Like emotions there or not? I can see Joe being the perfect guy to take the title off of Kofi. What I think happened at Extreme Rules? No, I think it will happen at SummerSlam. I think Kofi will go over this time, and when Joe earns his rematch at SummerSlam, that's when Joe gets it. But they're going to put on probably one of the best matches at Extreme Rules.
I didn't even think about that. That is a good long-term booking that I could see with that. You're right, Smitty. That's very something that could
What
happen.
did you just say?
I know. I said you're right, Smitty. Fuck.
Well, that streak's over.
He'll be back real soon. He always gets one.
They all get one, Peter.
Spider-Man. He was in Family Guy. Okay. Now, Nikki Cross has been pushed like crazy, but with promos as well. Her talking slow on the Moment of Bliss thing on SmackDown, the way she was speaking on Raw. There's a lot of talk that you lose a lot of your connection with the audience when you're talking and no one can fully understand you. Asuka being one of those people.
Nakamura,
people like that. Z, are we in danger of disliking Nikki Cross? Or are they doing enough with her to where it's not like overbearing?
They're doing enough. They're doing it right. Especially when they had her host a Moment of Bliss and even explain to everybody, like, all right, listen, guys, I have an accent, but I'm going to talk real slow, and hopefully you guys can understand me. And she did well. She did really well. So I don't think she'll have that disconnect. In fact, by having her host the Moment of Bliss, you might have saved her from falling into that abyss.
I think that's something I thought had Bischoff's prints on it right there.
Yeah.
Like taking away the weakness of her promo with her accent. And to like go out there, just tell them why you need to speak a little bit slowly. And that fixes the segment. It fixes the segment as well.
Yeah, it's very effective.
From one promo to the next, on Raw, Undertaker cut a promo where it just seemed, at least in my eyes, seemed very long-winded. Way too many pauses on periods. To the point where when it was cut up to be shown again on SmackDown, I was like, God damn, that was amazing. That's not what I watched on Raw. Way to put that together to make me believe something for real happened on it. Nick, you're watching Undertaker, and obviously Undertaker is a presence all of his own, right? Are you... Did that promo take you out of that segment?
A little bit. I got a little bored. I mean, you're looking at Undertaker with, you're kind of hanging on most of everything he's saying, but at the same time, Shane and Drew are standing out in the crowd, just fucking standing there and standing there and standing there and listening and nodding. Shane looks scared. It just went on for way too long. I mean, it really did. Like you said on SmackDown, when they cut it up, it was way more effective. But I mean, as somebody who's sitting in the crowd live and you want to see The Undertaker and it's a big, to do and you're all fucking excited, it probably didn't seem as long to those people that were in the crowd. Maybe you've never seen The Undertaker live before. But for me, it was a little, like you said, it was definitely long-winded.
Z, The Undertaker, like I said, has a mystique about him. Does someone need to tell him to hurry the fuck up when talking?
Probably, but nobody's going to.
Facts.
That's true. Listen, Taker, I need you to...
But like they even do those purple lightning bolts from the sky to the ring post, and and it's like, and I'm taking one for Joe here. It is kind of hokey, only because it's 2019. Like, we know you're not dead. Like, we know you don't do lightning from the sky. Not saying that it's not, cool special effects and whatnot to get a point across.
Did they do the lightning bolts?
Yeah. You didn't see it?
How did I miss that?
Okay, so they didn't go right into the gong. They did like lights flickering, which was great.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right, yeah.
Which was great because normally the lights go off, but they like kind of teased it for a minute, and I thought they were going to go on with the show. Okay. And then, everything.
Yeah, I didn't see the lightning bolts.
Wasn't there a little pyro with the lightning bolts too?
Yeah, it literally
spark.
It was a purple line up from,
from the post?
Yeah, from the kitty corner post.
Yeah.
So that was a little lame in my book. I mean, kids probably loved it, but I thought it was lame. I haven't really understood an Undertaker promo unless it was like under 30 seconds in a really long time. Like he starts talking circles about death and
the Reaper.
Well, he built up to saying the word death. The stench of death.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It was a little long-winded. It was a little weird. I don't know if he wrote it. I don't know if somebody else wrote it for him.
10 seconds of his promo was cut from the main event of Raw the last time he showed up.
Which is a lot of his promo because he said a lot.
Right. And it's also a lot of the fact that he does dramatic pause at the period of every sentence. He doesn't have a sentence that runs on. He has pauses, ends of sentence that run on. Like, it's not like it was period, dot, 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 dot. And I am the Reaper of Souls.
I was wondering if he forgot his lines, and he's like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, between everything he says, he goes, "What's next? Oh yeah, I am." And then he goes, and now, oh yeah, then I'm gonna come. Like,
you will never rest.
gotta remember, they're not gonna rest in peace this time. Yeah, and that's what it is. It's like it's like he's thinking of his next line. He goes, all right, here it is.
Yeah, no, because his eyes literally like roll up and to the left like he was thinking when he was doing it.
Nick, actually, we'll go to Smitty. Again, his mystique is still so strong from his longevity in wrestling. Does this, in the promos, the way he's going on it, and it just taking forever, does it kill some of that mystique?
I don't think it kills the mystique. It just shows me that he's getting old. That's it.
But he's the dead man. He doesn't get old.
He gets deader.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, right. True statement.
Well, if
Mo
you're-
dead.
If you're trying to attract new fans, younger fans, they're going to get bored with this real quick. Okay, cool, it's The Undertaker. And then they're waiting for him the 20 minutes that it takes to walk down the aisle. And then they're going to wait through another 25-minute promo. That younger generation, they're not going to go along with that.
And
very
that's
well.
fine because The Undertaker won't be around
True.
for that generation. But I know I see what you mean. Like a casual kid flipping through is like, oh, who's this old dude? And the kid probably doesn't even know what an Undertaker is because they don't refer to it as that anymore. They don't,
Just a mortician now.
Yeah, right. Like, oh, sweet, they got zombies on TV now. Walking Dead. Turn on channel, 13.
We were talking a little bit about the club earlier, and everyone's like, now that they're back together and stuff, the rumors are flying around that Gallows and Anderson have finally not resigned, have agreed to contracts. They haven't signed them yet, but they've agreed to contracts. Hence, this being built. So, with that type of situation, do you think that Heyman getting head of creative may have been a reason that they flipped, Smitty?
Well, 100%. Because they weren't they weren't doing anything on it before, and Heyman has a way of actually building stars.
All right.
So he's a head of creative, or
On
he's
Raw.
an executive director of Raw?
He's the executive director of creative Raw. So basically, what it is
creative.
he's there, and all of the creative ideas flow through Paul and Eric. And then what they decide they like, they take to Vince. And then Vince gets final approval of it.
Okay.
They're not television roles. Like, the only reason Heyman's on TV is because he's Brock Lesnar's advocate. He definitely didn't show up in anything.
Which that was going to be my next question. Like, how exactly is that supposed to work?
He came in and had a quick promo on Monday.
I mean, it's the same thing. Like, his on-air person. Look, eventually you're not gonna be thinking about that anymore. If it's good enough, you stop paying attention to the creative people running it. You're just paying attention to the product. At the moment, the creative product sucks so bad that now when you hear someone new is taking on creative, there's a reason that after Strowman and Lashley went through that, you heard chants of "Thank you, Heyman."
Yeah. Well, you were also in Philadelphia, though.
Right. So. But that's the same thing. Well, no.
They were in Texas.
They were in Texas.
Oh. Well.
Philadelphia's Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
Street Profits. They're not called up to the main roster, but they did show their main roster to
They want to get that smoke
as the NXT Tag Team Champions.
They had a couple interesting.
Nick, when they were going on with their couple promos, because they buried the fucking lead right away. I know you didn't see it the first 15 minutes until you went back, but there was an accidental camera fuck cut to the Street Profits in the back. I was like, wait, why were they? And then all of a sudden, like 20, 30 minutes later, they had a promo, and I was like, that's why they. Good for them. Is it showing more NXT, giving more credence to NXT? Because they're not Raw yet. Everyone said this. They could make appearances, and it may have been Heyman's handiwork that got them there. But are you okay with seeing the NXT Tag Team Champions in their role, but you still didn't see the Raw Tag Team Champions?
Who's the Raw Tag Team?
Revival.
Yeah. I don't have a lot of experience with the Street Profits other than watching their when they won the titles.
That one match that they had on a takeover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Besides that, so I didn't know what kind
It's
of
like
promos.
asking me about Fyter Fest.
what kind of promos they would cut, and I mean, some of it was kind of funny, but I wasn't like blown away or like, wow, I'm like excited to see them or anything like that. And to me, it kind of, okay, so you have them on Raw, they're your NXT champions. why are they here? It makes me feel like, okay, are they going to lose those titles soon?
I'll answer your question right now. The reason they are there is because they are trying to establish a tag team division. So although they may not be on the main roster, but hey, this is like the future. This is what's coming.
If
next.
that's the case, that's cool because
Did you not notice there was slightly more focus on both shows about tag teams?
There should be.
And people were actually featured. Like, they may not have had a match, but you saw Kurt Hawking and Zack Ryder.
Yep.
You saw the club. You know what I mean? Like, you saw
Street
people
Profits
you
multiple
don't
times.
normally see, plus the Street Profits, but you saw them, a lot of them, in like tag teams and whatnot. So they're trying to at least establish, like, hey, we have teams. Now let's see what they can do.
Yeah, I want to see them next week on a card. Let's see them wrestle.
Smitty, is this an AEW reaction? Who have said that tag teams could main event? I mean, I'm just being very honest.
Nah, I don't think it's an AEW reaction. I think this week in general, they were just, like you said, they're just showing tag teams do exist in this company, where they've pretty much been overlooked for a long time now. Last time we cared about actual tag team feud was the Usos and New Day, which they kind of, to a certain point, we don't think they ran it
And it's been going on for 7 years now.
It's kind of run its course, but it's been the only thing they've had that's been consistent and decent with the tag team division for years.
Which at the same
now.
time is WWE's fault for not pushing anyone else. Let's not make it seem
Oh
like.
no, I'm not saying that, but they just said we have them there, and it's like I said, with the new direction, it's kind of sprinkling seeds of hope for that division.
But if that's the case, where's the revival at with Extreme Rules? They don't.
They did post something to social media, I believe, Dawson or Dash, whatever, when was like, oh, ever since I grew this beard, things have just been great for us, and it showed them at a spa getting their nails done and everything like that with the Raw Tag Team belt around the apron. That was so. I mean, at least there was an explanation for them.
Yeah.
They gave a social media explanation for not being there. I'm trying to remember.
Top guys getting top treatment.
Top guys deserve top treatment. Period. Left and right.
Are you a top guy?
You're a top guy, from what I hear.
Yeah, ain't no bottom bitch.
There he goes again with it. Son of a bitch.
What he swallows.
Right. Well, he's up top, and they shoot it to him.
Those he swallows. Twice.
Good comeback. Ooh. Oh, man. He's really angry now. You got him, guy.
Oh, swallow. You swallow twice. Well, you swallow infinity.
This week, use the promo code SWALLOWS on Smitty'sMeats.com for 69% off.
It's back, baby!
You've got the new product, Infinity Meat by Schmidt.
First there was Beyond Meat, now there's Infinity Meat.
Son of a bitch. Boys, that's it for us. We are going to move on. We're going to have a nice little 1 hour, 45-minute show. It was a good show, and I appreciate everyone for listening. Again, brand new shirts on our Pro Wrestling Tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/BDRcast. Till July 8th, if you use the code America. Fuck yeah. But don't add fuck yeah, just write America. You save 20% July 8th, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, so 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You save 20% on your entire order if you use the promo code America. You get the brand new BDR Dream Team shirt or the brand new shirt that fucking Nick is rocking today. The real American BDR Mania running wild, brother. Get all this stuff. You go to
Is that what you really meant to say?
What?
Is that what you really meant to say?
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. No, I meant to say. Jeez. Go to prowrestlingtees.com/BDRcast. You can get your own Breaking Down the Ring merchandise. Thank you again so much for that. Make sure you're checking us out on all of our social media at BDRcast on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. Follow along with the show. YouTube.com/Breaking Down the Ring for you to catch up on all of our videos and things like that. Thank you to everyone who has participated in anything that we have done. Appreciate the Pro Wrestling Scorecards for getting them out so we can have fun. Next week, of course, we're going to be making our Extreme Rules picks and talking about so much more in Raw and SmackDown. We'll try and cover a little bit of the G1 and things that are going on. On top of that, we're also going to be making our Fight for the Fallen picks and talking about Evolve's 10th anniversary show that is coming up to be featured on the WWE Network July 13th as well. We are your ring crew.
Now swallow.
Z.
He did Uncle Man this time.
Ricochet.
Just a nigga Smitty.
And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again so much for listening, so much for watching, and we are